This episode may contain strong language and adult themes. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, good evening, good welcome, and greetings, salutations wherever you are around the world, which is probably just in Pete's Gran's house because nobody else watches it except his granny. But welcome to the 22 Dropouts, episode 44, believe it or not. And it is our Guinness Six Nations episode. I think that's right, Guinness Six Nations starts again this week. We're loving Sam's outfit. He's rocking that mask, and it can stay on all night because it actually makes his Scottish accent a little bit easier to enjoy. So I've gone full England, and just mix it up with a bit of Irish, seeing as it is the Guinness Six Nations as well, and we'd rather be a paddy than a jock. So here's to everybody over there. Sam.
Yeah.
Have you finished waving at the camera now?
Yeah, I think so.
Good. How are you doing, mate?
I'm all right. Well,
enjoying everything that Scotland's got to offer in Malta, obviously.
It's something like that, yeah. I was actually very poorly since a week past Sunday. I had to go for a COVID test because I had the same sort of symptoms of the lesser ones, not the temperature or the coughing or sneezing or anything, but I had to go for a test, and it's just I picked up a bad virus, like a bit of a cold and diarrhea and stuff. So yeah, it took me a while to recover that.
Everybody on the internet wants to hear that, Sam. Fucking awesome.
Well, no,
Sam, have the shits, everybody. Woohoo!
Yeah. Yeah, and Imodium works.
Thanks for sharing, Sam.
Yeah,
hey, Julian, how are you doing?
Sharing is caring.
Let's get Julian to change the subject very quickly.
Yeah, I'm in the red colours, and I've got some wine just to keep the French in the group as well. So, because we don't really want any French people here, do we? Because of your rant last weekend about them.
And
you
Mike,
sound off, mate.
yourself.
You muted yourself.
You've muted yourself, Mike.
Oh, that's
this,
it.
I hope, is an omen of the efficiency of the English on the pitch. Completely fucking useless. They'll be completely useless on Saturday. Scotland will win. Wales will beat Ireland. Don't care any other game.
I'm struggling with my microphone tonight. Just
we're gonna take predictions.
We'll do that. We'll do that in part two. We'll come on to that.
Predictions.
Hey up, Julian's gone. And Jen's taking.
Back. I just remembered that Jean-Claude's here.
That's okay.
Jean-Claude's party today as well.
Jean-Claude's looking forward to the jock game. That's all I can say.
And Jen's actually a hat.
Jen's gone all Welsh.
Yep.
Is there a little bit of Welsh in you tonight?
No, I haven't done that.
What are you saying, Jules? No, it was this or like Southern Hemisphere, and they don't play in the Six Nations, so.
Don't lie, Jen. You're a groupie of mine. I've dragged you to enough bloody games.
I wouldn't call it a groupie, Jules. No, I used to think that I supported Ireland, and then after O'Driscoll retired, I realized I only supported Bod.
Oh, there. Anyway, talking to Bod or Boddy, look at that segue, wasn't that good?
No.
Over your left shoulder, Jen, show us who's in your picture tonight.
Let's see. This
Looks
is
like David Hasselhoff when he was younger.
He's married to a Welsh woman.
How do you know what David Hasselhoff looks like?
But he plays for Stad, apparently, according to the calendar.
Well, they all play for Stad because it's a Stade Francais calendar.
No, actually, they have other people. The one in the frame is a gymnast, so he's not even a rugby player.
Ah, so it's guest slots then, is it, for whoever?
They do have guest
whoever
stars.
he fancies that week.
Yeah.
You'll never guess what. What's the one thing I always forget to do?
Start the clock.
Start the clock.
The clock on.
Good job I get it right on the pitch.
Lucky a referee, isn't it? Where you kind of need to. Be like,
Someone tells me.
how long's left, ref? Not a fucking clue.
I've got so many buttons to play with, mate. It's untrue. Anyway, plenty of rugby at the weekend, wasn't there? Some interesting moments and decisions. Interesting that it's taken Harlequins 15 years, to my recollection, to play that well, and about a similar time to beat Wasps. So fair play to them, because they absolutely smashed Wasps, who really...
I heard the comments from the Wasps coach, and he said, we played well, we played very well, but we still got destroyed. Harlequins were amazing.
They were. I've got to admit it. They were. They played. And do you know what? I said this at the time. They played their first game with a new coach, new director of rugby, exactly the same as Wasps did when Dye left. And they had a new director of rugby. And sometimes it's just a little bit of a release, isn't it? You've got something to prove, and you need to go out and prove it as well. So no, fair play to them. And Sopowanga's going back in for remedial tackling lessons because he was a bit shit again, which is sad, really, because he's bloody great at everything else. He just can't tackle.
I'm quite happy that Dye left because he's back at Cardiff now.
You are, yeah, you are, but you haven't seen the results yet, have you?
Cardiff didn't play this weekend.
That's why you haven't seen the results yet. Anyway, Jen, as our resident visitor, who's becoming very quickly a full-time member of the panel, I want to know what rugby you watched at the weekend, because I know that Julian was actually watching hockey.
And handball.
And handball.
Yeah, he's more Swedish than I am. I tried watching Chiefs Sherisons, the women's, but it was just weird without the scrums. All those free kicks, I kind of got bored and gave up about 15 minutes in. So
and then watched handball afterwards.
No, I did something else entirely.
We used to have a TV show when we were kids like that, didn't we, Jules?
What?
Why don't you go and turn off your TV set and go out and do something less boring instead? Yeah. So we've officially welcomed you now to the full-time front row. If you can't watch a game that doesn't have scrums.
Sorry, what?
So, if you can't watch a game that doesn't have scrums,
Sam, mute yourself.
Welcome. Yeah, Sam, it's your bloody iPad again, mate.
Fucking hell, honestly.
Why fucking hell when you can masturbate in paradise? Just putting that out there anyway. So what else went? Well, you probably... Do you know what? He's so much easier to understand when he's muted.
To be honest, will you please put subtitles on that bit? So whoever's watching this right now, the subtitles before, we organised them later, so we didn't really say that.
Anyway, there were some comic moments at the weekend as well, and I think one of the best ones came courtesy of Exeter in 6 ways. Julian, do you want to pick up the story, because it's been making you cry?
Well, it's just basics. You get in your own 22, you've got players flying at you, the opposition have kicked the ball in goal for you, you've picked the ball, you've got back and you've stopped the ball. What do you fucking do? You ground it. Oh, no, not Exeter. They pick the damn thing up, don't ground it, dive towards the try line again, don't ground it, go over their own try line into the field of play again, get turned over and get scored against. I'm like, for fuck's sake, that's the worst try I've ever seen given away in my entire life.
I think the officials were absolutely wetting themselves. They couldn't believe it either. They're all talking to each other like, is that real? Did that happen? And is it allowed? Is there anything that we need to look at to disallow it? And that, they went through, there's several good angles of the Exeter ball carrier getting tackled over his own line, trying to wriggle free, and then completely fucking it up.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, they won, but by God, you didn't need to go to those lengths to give them a chance, did you?
No, it was just one of those moments where you look at it and go, what the fuck are you doing? And I hope he brought around for everybody in the ground. You probably could afford it with no fans.
I was going to say, which is all of about 37 people.
Yeah, because that was just disgraceful. And he's not going to live that. That's one that's going to be played in that clubhouse for the next 100 years.
Oh, it's on the show reel. I'm sure that must be on the show reel by now. If not, it should be. But then, from the ridiculous to the downright stupid. Anybody see Tom Dunn's knee to the head, or knees to the head?
I think we've all seen the clip.
Yeah, I look. I think he's a bit frustrated at somebody hanging onto his coattails, and it sort of appears like he's going to try and rock over, but instead of doing so with a left-right twat in the face, he knees one of the Bristol players right in the side of the much, and missed on the field. The referee was
you look where
side.
It was Barnsley, wasn't it? Who was in the middle?
Yeah, he was on the other side, wasn't he? Behind.
And he's on the other side. He's got play. He's never going to see it from where he is. But the AR should have had a clear view of that.
Yeah, and if not, well, it was there for everybody to see on the TV. I'm surprised.
That should have gone there from the AR, or the TMO come in his ear. And excuse my French.
Well, as far as I understand, as of this moment in time, it has not been cited, which surprises me.
I mean, that needs to be looked at by somebody, in my opinion. That's one that needs to be looked at by a citing commissioner.
Yeah.
And whether they've looked at it and have said, because they were holding his legs on the ground, and you could see the first one he's trying to get out of, and he's pulled the knee up and caught him in the face. The fact that he's done it then with the other leg, and then again, so he's gone 1, 2, 3, and caught him twice in the face and once nearly in the face. That's if you feel your knee hit something and then go, oh shit, sorry, that's one thing. But if you do it 3 times, then you need to look at it.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't think it's very nice. And if you're for younger players who are watching this because they like to see how it's done on the other side, don't take that as a lesson for the future. Leave that one.
But it was one of those ones you can see he's frustrated because he's had his legs hang onto on the ground. Yeah. And you can see the guy on the ground doing it deliberately to piss him off.
Yeah, maybe, here's a thought. Maybe as we went into, before the Sevens was cancelled, as we would in Sevens and have done for a season and a half, if you hold somebody on the floor and prevent them from getting out of the way of the yellow card straight away. Maybe
it doesn't have a big impact on the game in 15s. That's why we don't.
No, it doesn't. But maybe it should be a penalty.
Yeah. And
then talking of penalties,
somebody in the fucking head.
Yeah, exactly. Talking of penalties, Luke Pearce, right at the end of his game, absolutely bob on. He went, not having that. The only reason that he was held up is because you've come in at the side. You're the one that's prevented the try. It's 81 minutes and 37 seconds. I'm awarding the penalty try, and you're having a yellow card, end the game. I didn't think much of his penalty before that, about a minute before that led to that play there. And that charge, that was deliberate. It was malicious. He stepped across to take out the player. I mean, okay, he's not in the try scoring position, but it was deliberate enough for me. That's a yellow card.
You know what I'm worried about right now? Sam's very, very quiet, even though he's got himself on mute.
That's because he's actually, you can see him keeps looking down at his phone because his face lights up whenever his screen comes on.
He's just waiting for the Six Nations chat so he can go, ABE!
Right, Sam.
Sorry.
ABE! Sammy gives away.
There it is. It's back again.
He's back. He's back already. So what else happened at the weekend? Anything interesting?
Sweden didn't win the World Cup in handball.
Okay. It's a shame. Who did?
Denmark.
So
local derby.
That was the final?
In the final, yeah. We lost.
Oh.
Was it a tight game?
It was very tight, yeah. It was a good game as well. Surprisingly, for those who don't know, handball is actually very good to watch.
It's exciting because it's fast, isn't it?
It's very fast, yeah, and very good and very, very... It's a non-contact sport, and that is absolute bullshit.
Some of our best players come from handball.
Yeah, they do.
They make very good rugby converts.
And it's quite good because it's a winter sport in Sweden as such. So it transfers over for us playing in the summer. So there's a very little crossover in the middle. Now, when I used to coach a women's team in Attila Rugby Club here in Stockholm, I think half the players played handball in the winter and rugby in the summer, and then the other half played ice hockey and rugby, which is pretty cool.
There you go. And on that bombshell, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with some Six Nations chat, where we've got to listen to Sam again right after this break. We'll see you in a minute.
When you need clear and concise Match Official communication systems, look no further than the brand new Axiwi AT350.
Radios are always useful, they always help us, especially Axiwis, where all three of us can be open at any time, we can have open communication.
Available now from refcomsglobal.net. Investing profits into Match Official development worldwide.
And welcome back to part 2 of tonight's Six Nations preview. We're actually going to talk some Six Nations now. So to start with, we're going to talk about Ireland because I've got a pint to get. Well, I've got almost half a pint to Guinness now. So here's to Ireland.
Just an excuse to drink, isn't it?
Yeah, too right.
I wasn't expecting you down at all.
No, we did that show. We did that show before.
And it didn't end well, or?
It didn't tap.
It didn't end particularly well for me playing daft drinking games with the Wasps legends, including people like
Mike Friday.
Mike Friday, Roger Utley, Lou Latter. I came off second best. Although the videos on Mike Friday.
I wouldn't even give you second best, mate. You were like third or fourth down the line, trust me.
Although some of those videos, if you go back and check out of Mike Friday doing his left-handed drinking video for the summer Wasps Legends fundraiser, and you'll see he kept getting them wrong. So every time he realised he got it wrong, he had to go and do it again. So we were on take. He was on take 5 with a pint down in each one. Hello, Peter.
Yeah, talk room. See. Now, mate, are
you bringing your granny on?
No, she's not. She's under her hair.
What's new? I haven't done mine.
She's worried about the 10,000 people who'll watch her.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about them. No.
Oh, well,
anyway, it's time to talk a bit of Six Nations. So we'll go through the games in order. We won't go order of priority, otherwise we'd start with England, obviously. But the first game this weekend is who is it? It's Italy, France. I was just had to check because it's part rubbed off my whiteboard. So Italy, France. Should we at this point ask for predictions or just giggle and move on?
Forza Italia! I'm going to be cheering on the Italians, but knowing that France are going to win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Jules.
France. I think Italy will play for about a good 50-60 minutes. They'll do their best and whatnot, and I think France will pull away by about 17.
I think France are just going to turn it on straight from the start and go for the points.
Yeah.
They'll want 4 tries. They'll want the bonus point. They'll want it all. Bam, and then they might have a bit of fun. And by that point, Italy will just be fighting for pride at the end.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few guys that I'm looking forward to seeing on the pitch from France. I think they've got a really good future ahead of them now.
He's amazing. I wish he was British so he could play for the Lions.
17-18 point game, though, I reckon, France.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So like Wasps the weekend against Harlequins.
Wasps against Queens.
Don't do that to me again, boys. Please don't do that to me again. So that's about really all we can. Well,
the French side right now it's like watching them back in the 70s and 80s or the 80s again. With
the French side right now is still waiting for permission to leave the country, aren't they?
I know, but when you watch them playing, it's like watching the 80s. It's actually fun to watch them play.
It is.
With a bit of flair and a bit of pizzazz and they're solid in defence. They're not fucking it up like they normally do.
That's because they got an Englishman in charge, mate.
Well, he's adopted Welsh now. You know that. We gave him a passport.
If only I could do accents. So there's that old joke, isn't there, that the Queen and Philip are on on the trip to Australia, not Australia.
Don't say this. Mike Tyndall's fucking coming on. He's going to watch this. It's Granny and Grandpa, isn't it?
Yeah. What you'll see is I'm going to get taken out by a couple of blokes from MI6 in a minute. So yeah.
No. You're in the UK. You're good. You're good. It won't be MI6. It'll be MI5.
It'll be
There'll
5.
be Russians. It'll be the Russians.
Hang on. Where's the Novichok? I haven't said anything bad about Russia, only France, so I'm okay. I'm safe. Anyway, so they're on tour to Australia, and Australia's thinking, the Prime Minister at the time's thinking that he wants to be independent and not in the Commonwealth. And he goes up to Philip and he says, "Now, tell me, I want to be king. How can I be king of Australia?" And Philip turns round and says to him, "My dear chap, you can't be a king. You do not have a kingdom." It says, "Okay. Why can I be a prince?" He says, "My dear chap, you can't be a prince. You're not a principality."
See where this is going already.
So do I.
He says, can I be a duke? And he says, there's no dukedom. He says, "Well, what can I be?" And he says, "Why don't you just carry on being a country?"
Well, you're editing it, so I don't give a fuck anymore.
I know. Anyway, so yeah, I think we've padded out in Ireland. I can't read what's written here. Italy, France. We've padded out Italy, France enough now. So now on to an important game. How many England going to win by?
None. -12.
Oh, actually, do you know what?
-8.
We should actually talk about the fact that we've got have we got a 3-man English team over in Italy for that game. It's Matt Carley in the middle. I think Christoph Ridley's on one of the lines, and Carl Dixon's in the wall somewhere.
Carl Dixon's TMO, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Now, so England-Scotland game. Come on then, let's get the predictions out of the way, boys, because we know this is your favourite time of year. And pre-game, it's the only time you get to gloat.
Scotland by 8.
Scotland by 8.
Scotland by 12.
By 12. Jen?
I'll go with Sam. Scotland by 8.
Good, because if you did say England by anything, you'd have to take that shit off straight away.
You know me, Jules. Would I ever say that?
No.
No.
That's a shame. I think Pete was looking forward to it.
Pete was just looking forward to taking the shirt off, I think.
38 years wait, or 37 years waiting for an. I mean, 1983 was the last time Scotland won at Twickenham. I mean, I can't even remember that game. So I mean, I was like 7.
That was before I was born. So.
That's just.
2 years ago, I was in Cardiff. I was in Cardiff for 2 years ago. I was in Cardiff for Wales Island, and I was going to meet some of the lads in the pub in the O Englander to watch the Scotland-England game. I went in, started watching the first half, and England were all over them. Couldn't find the lads anywhere. Got a text message then, Crouty and Steve Henley from Sweden, from the Swedish guys, and he's Irish, but he lives in Sweden. He's the head of referees before me, and Crouchy's one of the London refs. So we're there, and they said, "Oh no, we couldn't get into the pub. It was too busy."
Don't swear on this show. You're not allowed to swear on this show. Not allowed to London ref.
They'd gone for a coffee instead. Said, "Screw it, we can't watch it. We can't get in." So I said, "Screw it." I met them, had a beer with them. We found out Pete. We'd gone back in the pub. We eventually found him. We went back to the pub. We caught the last 20 minutes of the game. We walked in, and I saw the scoreline. And I was like, "What the fuck happened?"
Yeah.
This place is going nuts. There were 2 English people in the whole bar, both women, both going mental. The rest of the place was just filled with Welsh and Scottish singing fucking songs, and everybody glued to the TV. Nobody was going off for the live band or anything. Nobody was going off for the drinking at the bar. Everybody was just fucking glued in front of this massive screen and every TV screen in there, singing their guts out. And then it was up, win in, and then it was down, lose it, up, winning, down. And at the end, it was just like, fuck, no! On that last second of that game, it was just mental. So I expect nothing worse, nothing less than that, and then Scotland to take it in the last minute.
Can you cope with another game like that? Because just after watching your recreation of the game, I'm actually quite worried for your blood pressure already.
My blood pressure, my heart rate is low. It's solid. I can handle it. I might be old, but I'm still quite fit.
He's been working out with a personal trainer all winter. He's ready.
And I'm still
miffed.
I'm still miffed that we lost that game. How the hell did we let them in? Of all places, under the bloody sticks as well. Learn how to finish a game off.
Not bitter though, are you, mate?
Oh, but one of the best games of rugby I've ever seen, honestly, that Scotland played. Just absolutely decimated England. England didn't know what the hell had happened in that second half. They just didn't have a clue.
He's got like 4 tries in like 1 minute.
Yeah, Finn Russell was on fire.
It was a bit like watching Wasps at the weekend. There was like nobody managing the players on the pitch. There was no leadership at all when things went wrong.
So
what happened to Wasps as well?
So England by 15. England by 15 because it takes Scotland about 3 games to warm up before they can actually play a game.
No, it takes Scotland an England game to warm up. 3 minutes of an England game, or first half of an England game to warm up. They showed that 2 years ago.
The jocks that are playing in the Premiership in England are doing quite well at the moment. The ones that stay north of the border are a bit shite.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Scotland, you know, I think they might be on the front foot here because they're used to playing with no crowd. Yeah.
To be honest, you know why I think Scotland are going to win? Well, you can see that 0-2 on the front of your shirt still. That's the number of times that England have beaten South Africa in a World Cup final, 0 for 2.
Yeah, 0 for 2.
And Scotland is basically South Africa B. So there we go.
Yeah, it is a bit South Africa, but I mean, I'm just trying to count back how many times Scotland's been in a World Cup final.
Or a semi.
Any thoughts on that, Sam? Because you seem to know all of the Scotland results, particularly when they beat England.
The closest we ever came was in 1991 when Gavin Hastings missed a kick in the semi-final at Twickenham, I believe.
There you go. You heard it here first. And who we got in the middle? We've got Andrew Brace, haven't we, in the middle for that game?
Yeah, he'll be good.
Yeah, anybody but a Frenchman.
Yeah, as long as it's not a Frenchman, then we'll have a decent game of rugby.
Well, Bracey's down as IRFU, but he's actually a TAF, isn't he?
Yeah. But no, I mean, well, you look around at the moment. So there's no Nigel.
Well, he's TMO on one game, I think.
Yeah, the French have got who? Exactly. There's no. Sorry.
French. Oh no, referees. You mean?
Yeah.
They've got Pascal, and Mathieu, but yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I heard this week from over the weekend from a friend in Dublin is that we were considering bringing somebody over for some of the games from New Zealand.
Yeah, it would be good to see.
So short of top quality. I mean, look. Don't get me wrong. I'm quite happy and impressed that there's a good raft of English referees who are on the world rugby stage. But when England are playing, you're sort of screwed, aren't you? And I do think it's really time, and we've talked about this at length for years. And on this show, we've talked about it since we started 44 weeks ago. Is that we've got to start doing something with the other nations, particularly Italy, and not just letting them referee in their own league because it's nowhere near the standard that they need to be at. We need to take these guys and actually put them in more challenging situations. Take them over to France. Let them do the top 14. Let them go and do the Pro 14. Bring them into the English Premiership and give them some real top quality experience. Because that World Rugby second level, stepping up to first division, it's too big for a lot of people. It takes them a good couple of years working on the sidelines to get to that level, to be in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, Wales now, they've got a bit of a gap as well. Our top referee is now retired from the middle from international level. He's still
Who's that? Who's that?
Nigel. You daft prog.
Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on. Let me just cast that line again and bring it back in.
Full Spider-Man on it. Go, Webb, go.
That was easy. That was easy, right? That was easy. So yeah, how do we reckon?
We've got a couple of youngsters coming through now, but we've got Adam Jones, Craig Evans, Ben Whitehouse is coming back again. He had a bit of a dip, but he's on his way back up the top again. So these three lads are getting better and better and getting the experience now. So,
what I'm saying is they're still a few years away from doing.
They're maybe a year or two away. I mean, Craig's got his first shot on the Six Nations put on touch.
Yeah.
So it's a good place to get him in there and feed him in slowly and get the guys in.
Yeah. But why aren't we giving Italian referees, their top Italian referees?
Why not Georgians as well? And Romanians. There's a few of the guys in Georgia and Romania.
Why not Swedes and Maltese referees?
Well, to be honest, Sweden, we don't have the talent yet. But there's a couple of guys that we might be able to push up that far who are young.
Well, we've talked
you say this, boys, you say this. The Georgian guys and the Romanian guys who've been refereeing the top 14 have been very fucking good.
Yeah.
Why not push these boys up and have a good chance? Because they're reffing a good standard of rugby all week.
But that's just the thing, isn't it? They have allowed them out of their country to go and do better rugby elsewhere. Yeah. Why aren't we doing that with other people all over the world? You know, you could have somebody in Kenya or somebody like that or Sri Lanka who is going to be absolutely superb.
See, now you're making a really good argument for what Rugby Europe are doing right now already.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a new head of refereeing in Rugby Europe. Joel Dumais taken over. He's the head of refereeing in Rugby Europe, and he's been promoting the idea of let's give all these smaller countries, these young lads who don't get the opportunities like the English referees do in the Welsh. Let's give them a chance, and let's give them opportunities to show what they can do, so that in the future, when they do come through, they'll possibly have the chance to referee a pro game or a top 14 game or a pro 14 game or an RFU English Premiership League game.
Yeah.
Any of these.
See,
so
Sam, I told you Bill would watch that episode and take it to Dublin and put our idea forward.
No, but it started with it's not gone there in the past, but now it's started, and the guys at Rugby Europe. You might not like the French boys much, but I absolutely fucking love them at this level, and they're doing a fantastic job, and they're trying to promote and push young referees and give them opportunities to referee international rugby.
That's definitely
it's happening. Needed. It's already happening, but it takes time to come through the system.
Of course it does. And on that bombshell, we'll be back with the rest of the Six Nations preview right after this break. We'll see you then.
Welcome back to part 3 of the 22 dropouts.
Woo! Go, Jen!
Jen, don't forget to tell them that if they look up there, they can see all our social media channels. Tell them what to look out for.
The social media channels up top.
And what do they need to search?
Well, I don't know what they need to search. The ones up there.
It's a good job we rehearsed the show, isn't it? Anyway, do look up there. Go on to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search at 22 Dropouts, and we are going to start this week. Not down there, but that one.
I feel like not much is happening on those, Jules.
No, well, that's mainly because I've not bothered to give him the logins yet, but we are.
Yeah.
And Jules, I forgot to tell you beforehand, start taking some screen clips of the show, and then you can put them up during the week.
Julian, take all the social media responsibilities for this group on. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the rest of
I got dumped in it. I didn't get asked. I got told by you. You're doing it.
Know Jen that
and you sent me the information.
But the rest of them are fucking shit. Yeah, I'm in the shit bracket too. But then again, I have to edit this crap and get rid of swear words all the time. Anyway, we are talking about the Six Nations and England's glorious win on a Saturday against Scotland.
I can't get to throw that back in your face.
Actually, just right. I haven't finished yet. Well, we are talking about the Six Nations this week, and Scotland doing a number on England. But there's one thing we've got to carry on with now, and that's the rest of it. The Wales-Ireland game.
Wales by 10.
Wales by 10. Ireland by 5.
Ireland by 3.
Anybody but Wales.
Wales are very notorious at being slow starters in their first game, so I think Ireland will just pick them.
I honestly don't know, because I can't, mainly because I don't get to watch much of their rugby except when they're playing internationals. Because
if you look at the teams that played this weekend, though, you look at Llanelli got absolutely thumped by Leinster this weekend, and you look at the teams they both put out. Leinster put out a really strong side, and all the Welsh squad, who most of play for Llanelli, with the Welsh. So the Llanelli side, I recognised one player in the whole fucking team. It was like they brought
because he's your mother's brother's cousin.
They brought their third team out, and it's probably all cousins. Yeah, no Llanelli.
Joneses and Evanses.
Where did you recognise him?
Uncle Jones and my half brother Uncle Jones.
Well, Julian,
Jones the fish, Jones the fireman, and Jones the milk.
Jones the brother uncle, Jones the cousin father, and Jones the sister uncle.
Julian, you want to be an independent country? Crying out loud!
You missed the fucking little sister uncle thing on the end of there, I think.
Hey, Julian.
Yeah.
You know this player that you recognise in Clefley, whatever you want to call it? Yeah. Is that because he was in the queue for the leisure centre that was in Cardiff?
Fuck off.
There's clearly a story here, boys.
I heard a joke about Llanelli the other day.
Too shit.
There was a Llanelli. They'd noticed one of the guys playing at Iraq, and he'd been in a bombed city, and they noticed he was a fantastic rugby player. So they brought him over to Llanelli to play for them, and he played for them, and he was fantastic. And then his mother rang him just after the game and said, "Oh yeah, we've had problems. We've been attacked in the street. Your father's been shot in the leg. Your brother's been beaten up." And he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? I'm really sorry for you." He said, "You stop being bloody sorry. It's your fault we moved to Llanelli."
There was several ways that could go, but they're always going to be derogatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's fun if you lose in Llanelli. They look after you. It's a horrible place to go if you win.
Yeah, just a bit. Jen, you're wearing a Welsh top.
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
Wales by 5.
Know where you live, you have to say that.
Yeah.
Well.
I know where you live.
That's true.
But I'm not going there.
I swear there's some stories we're not being told, boys and girls.
Yes, of course. There's too much chemistry.
Yeah, I think this is one for Jack and Ori later. This is a bedtime story. So Mr. Barnes is doing that one.
He is.
Oh, don't like him.
Ooh. I'll tell him that. In fact, I'll tell his wife.
Yeah, I think most of the world knows that I don't like Barnes. But that's because my true allegiance is to New Zealand, so...
Were you playing, Jen, when Barnsley was over in Stockholm for the Stockholm Tens a few times?
I've heard the stories about how he couldn't use his Wikipedia page as ID at the pub. But
yeah, there was that one.
When was he here last?
And there was one time we had at the Stockholm Tens, the referees always go out for dinner at the end of the tournament. We all go out separately from the players, and we have our own court session. And Stockholm Exiles graciously pay for dinner for us. And the refs pay for the booze, or most of the booze, some of the booze. Exiles pay for some. And they look after us, basically. Barnsley was there, and we've gone to a pub in the centre of Stockholm. We've gone down into the basement, and we've had Kangaroo Court. And Barnsley's been up buying some jugs for the bird, putting his card over, buying some jugs of beers and stuff, bringing them back in. And the barman behind the bar is one of my old teammates, Sam, who is from New Zealand. Sam's serving Barnsley the whole time, coming out, and we're all leaving the pub now. We're going over to this. We're going to go join the actual tournament party after we've had dinner and court and everything like this. And I turn around to Sam and I say, "All right, mate, nice to see you, mate. You coming to the party later?" He said, "Oh, I might stop by when I finish my shift." How did it feel serving Wayne Barnes beer all night? And he went, "What? That was Wayne Barnes?" I went, "Yeah." He said, "Fuck, I would have spat in his beer all night if I'd known."
No,
he wasn't very happy, apparently.
Yeah, well, there was something else that sort of went on where he was working for the IRB, but because we don't want to mention that, we won't mention that one because we don't think that's right, and I'm sure
because IKEA.
Yes, exactly. So no, don't ever say that again. Now, one of the things that you may be aware of is that the high tackle framework is going to change again.
Oh, it was easy.
Right, so it's going to be called, I think, the head collision framework.
Are they just changing the name for it?
No, no. Yeah. So what they've done is that, right, they're not using it in the Six Nations, but don't tell anybody they are. They're using it, but they're still calling it by its old name for now. Okay. So this is to try and deal with episodes where you, well, you look a few weeks ago where we've had the head-on-head or the smash to the head when clearing somebody out from a ruck. So now they're going to look at that and very, very differently and say, right, first of all, was there foul play? If there is, we can go down the foul play protocol. But if there isn't foul play, and I think one of the best ways here is if somebody, you know, where you get that high, the chest height tackle, but they bang heads. Okay, we would normally put that down to a rugby incident, and it'd be, well, the tackle was legal, play on. That's going to change, and you're going to see a lot more cards for things now because they look at that and they say, right, first of all, was there foul play? No, the tackle was legal. Okay, who caused the collision with their head? Was it the tackler or the ball carrier? So then you'll look and say, well, the ball carrier's upright, the tackler's coming quite high and tackled ball and chest, and then they've connected with their heads. So the person that's at fault there is the tackler. So then they widen the scope and go, right, where have they come from? What distance have they come from? Degree of danger, speed, etc. And could it have been avoided? And of course, in that sort of situation...
Hold on a second. Is that not a bit of a redundant question? Who caused the head injury, the ball carrier or the tackler?
No. Because what happens if he's going for the waist and the ball carrier ducks at the last minute? That means it's the ball carrier that's caused it, not the tackler. So that's one of the things they look at in the mitigation is, has the ball carrier done something or moved or changed? Now, the thing is...
I'm glad you said the word mitigation there, because I was going towards, are they going to put the blame on the ball carrier here?
No, but they are. It's more of a mitigating factor down from, you know, what could be a red for the tackle player.
So my point is that it's a redundant question because it's never going to be the ball carrier's fault. It'll always be the tackler.
I disagree. I absolutely disagree. It could be because if the tackler is going to the right height, you know, a waist height, and then the ball carrier dips sufficiently and that causes the head-on-head collision, then he's the one that's at fault for the collision. It's going to be a right mess.
But the ball carrier is allowed to protect himself and get as low as he can to defend himself and the ball.
When do you stop then? Do you say
as long as he's not leading with his forearm or anything from his chest, then it's fine, surely.
Well, no, because we always used to say, if you remember, that if the ball carrier's head and shoulders are lower than their own hips when they're stood upright, then what else can the tackle player do?
Knees and toes.
I think there's going to be so many issues around this. So it's to stop those high tackles that hit head on head. but it's also really to stop those guys who are going in clearing out. So they would look at the clear outs and say, right, what could he have done different, or could he have done anything different? Yes, he didn't need to take an 8-meter run up. Could he have bound on and rolled him off, or was he just trying to smash him for maximum effect? So you're going to see a lot more of those get drawn out now. And it will come into community rugby, without a doubt. But that's where it gets even harder. I know it's a lot slower in community rugby, and the skill levels are a lot lower. But also, you've only got one pair of eyes looking at it once in real time. And even things like
the only thing I'm worried about there is, right now we've got the high tackle framework for dealing with these, and it's quite clear and quite simple.
It works,
and it works quite well. And in most things, there are exceptions, of course, like you mentioned some of them, and there's probably going to be more exceptions in the pro game than the community game.
Yes, agreed.
And why overcomplicate it? Why not say, right, here's your framework. There are going to be a little bit of changes to it, things that are outside this scope or on the edge of this scope. Why don't you deal with them as a referee? We'll give you the framework, see what you can fit it into that framework and make it work on the pitch.
That's
leave
just
it at that. Leave it at that.
That's just going to make refereeing at lower level so much harder.
I think we'll see some adjustments yet. I think it'll come in and they'll start to tweak it.
Tweak it by all means, but if it's not a drastic change, then I can see a positive in it. If it's a big change to what we've already got, which we've shown already in 99% of the cases works well, why make a drastic change?
We had the same.
If it's a simple, small change to deal with those head-on-head collisions upright, great. If it's anything more than that, why the fuck do it?
But during Carl Dixon's game, right, Gloucester, Northampton, there was a kick and two players went up for the ball. Both of them exactly the same height, challenging for the ball. Both of them knocked each other out. One of them busted his nose open or whatever, was bloodied, and the other one was out for the count. Both of them absolutely.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was a bad incident, but there was no malice. Nobody intended. You know, it was just a rugby thing, and that's going to happen. The same as then. So I think this is what they're trying to do is cover the bases around the ruck. So when
more than anything else,
when you've got a jackler that's so bloody low, right, that's on the ball, right, and you've got a guy that's coming in, and it's near impossible to clear him out, and yet he makes contact. You know, the commentary team, you hear them saying it all the time. What else can he do? What can the guy do? Well, you know, I mean, if he can't be cleared, he can't be cleared. It just the referee might need to act quicker and just blow the whistle and give him the penalty then.
Honestly, if you're that late getting to the tackle when the jackler's already there, you've lost the ball. Tough shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is that there's some players, Jules, you know yourself, mate, that get so good in a position and they're so low that it doesn't matter how good you are at clearing people, like, you won't shift them.
No, certainly not from that forward contact. You've got to come in and crocodile roll them, haven't you?
Yeah,
which
and
means
this
you're
is
doing
one
it
of
a
the
lot
reasons
slower.
I said the croc roll is legal, because I've had players ask me in the community level, isn't that collapsing a ruck? And I'm like, no, World Rugby said it's fine, play on.
Leave the high tackle framework alone. I would rather World Rugby dealt with the crocodile roll.
Well, crocodile roll.
Yeah, we'll bring Elton John into the game, shall we?
Now, there's an interesting thing though, isn't it? If you're going to bring that roll into it more to get the jackler off, we've seen lots of really bad knee injuries because of that when they're getting low and they've got a wide base. So, you know, look, and I think people would generally say that that's a physical thing. You probably recover or get to a certain point, but really your brain, once it gets injured so many times, it's going to degenerate. You can have a new knee, you can't have a new brain. I get all of that. But my personal feeling is when we started introducing the jackal to get rid of boots on body in the ruck, we have been tweaking every couple of years the rules and the laws and the regulations around the ruck just because we introduced the jackler. Now, one of the things I noticed on I think it was the Gloucester game at the weekend, very, very few turnover penalties for holding on. Actually, most of the counter winning of the ball was done by counter rucking. And it's when the players in possession of the ball were slow to get it away. And then they would get in. Willie Hines was brilliant at it and start that counter ruck. And it was 3 or 4 occasions when Gloucester just won the ball. Maybe we should go back to not boots on body, but we should be standing on our feet going over the ball.
He had a good return to play, Hines.
I mean, that's what the laws are written for. The ruck's a pushing competition.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Join in. And listen, you read the laws in the ruck, in the law book, and how you have to join a ruck is to bind on to the rearmost person, be alongside or from behind.
Yeah.
Which to me says you basically forming the same as a maul and pushing them off, and then using
there was one point in the Gloucester game that the ball was actually sitting in the middle, and I think Northampton had pushed well past the ball and past the back foot, and everybody's looking at it, and Carl just goes, the ball's out, and they all sort of dived on for the ball. But I think Heinze had a really good game, so it was a good welcome back for him. And I thought there was a lot of turnover possibilities in Carl's game, but he did well with the penalties because the tackler wasn't rolling away quick enough, and that's what was letting Jackler on. So he was nailing the first offence, which is good, which is why we didn't see too many turnovers. But some other refs might have just let that go that little bit longer, and they would have got the turnover. Do you know what I mean?
This is the point, though, isn't it? If you deal with the first offence quickly, you stop all the other problems starting. Nobody can go in and smash somebody off because he's off his feet, because you've dealt with it as a referee. And you've got to be in the right position, looking at the right things, and making an early decision to stop it becoming dangerous later. Now, just before we go, there is one more thing I want to get your opinion on, guys. Now, we've heard in the last few weeks of rugby, not the last 2 weeks, but the last few weeks of rugby, a lot of the referees, certainly in the Prem anyway, are going no pre-bind. Don't want, and one of the phrases I heard in the weekend is, I don't want the flying wedge. Now, this is where there's a tap and go, usually near to the try line, and there's no pre-binding, so that even though the ball's at the front, you're getting driven on by guys at the back. So tell me this, and I know there's a difference in spacing, and that's all there is. Why is it allowed off the back of a ruck, but not on the penalty? Surely it's the same thing.
Well, to be fair,
no, because they're going from a stationary.
To be fair, they're still bound, both players. Usually it's both players we're talking about here, Mike, right? 2 players.
No, this is where I'm at the back of the ruck.
Yeah.
I'm about to pick up, but somebody's already bound on one or both sides of me and driving me into the opposition.
But you know why that's allowed? Because they're bound onto the ruck.
No.
That's the get. They are. That's the get out clause.
No.
They're bound
I'm
to the
stood
ruck.
up, waiting to pick the ball up, and 2 people are bound on me already.
Yep.
I'm not part of the ruck.
And it's just like the caterpillar. It's the same thing as the caterpillar.
If you do it from a penalty, you've got a 10-meter run up at it.
Yeah.
And that's
what I'm saying.
There's your difference straight away. Yeah. So you're taking what's not a dangerous situation with 2 players bound onto each other going forward, giving them a bit of a shove forward. So it's a little bit of a shove from one player into the other, compared to somebody running at 20 kilometers an hour with another player of 100 kilos or 100 plus kilos stuck on his arm.
That rules Sam out on both counts.
The caterpillar ruck's actually worse than what you're talking about.
You get that 200 kilo bowling ball running towards a player as compared to a 2-yard tackle.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree.
Situation.
One of the things, though, that it's causing at the ruck is the guys that they know they can't stop, 300 kilos and the ball coming at them. All right, all bound on together, nice driving wedge. So what do? They go for their ankles. And in the Worcester-Exeter game, 4 penalties, 3 in quite quick succession, and in between that, more that were missed of people who are diving ankles. Their arms are nowhere to be seen. They're just taking ankles out with shoulders.
They're chopping. Yeah.
But again, that is dangerous. So if we take things back, where we talk about cause and effect a lot, what's the cause and where that is the effect? And the cause is because we've got this pre-bind.
That extra person is going to make a lot of difference to that. If you're on that try line in a ruck and you're one person picking off the back, and you go on your own and then that person comes in a second after you, they're still going to chop your ankles.
Maybe. Well, we'll have to wait and see. On that note, it is time to end. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you to the gang.
We'll see. I think Mike should have to wear a Scotland top next week if Scotland do win.
I'd rather
No, you're
wear
lining
a
yourself up to wear an
French
England
top.
one.
That's fine by me. I've done it before. I've done it when I went to Italy. Because of freaking Scotland lost against Wales. There you go.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Sam is wearing an England top next week. We'll see you all.
That means you're wearing a Scotland one then? You got anything with a thistle on it?
Yeah,
I've got a Doddy Weir headband.
That doesn't count.
What about
There's nothing else with thistles around here, mate.
If Scotland win, we have to wear Scottish shirts.
Come on, Mikey. You got something, Mikey?
No, I'm just wondering why Pete's going.
Yeah.
He's frozen a bit. There we go.
Same
Oh,
thing.
it's worse now.
I'm sure your wife's got a tartan skirt or something, mate. You could wear a skirt on.
No, she really hasn't. We don't like.
How do you know? How do you know, Sam?
I know. I'm saying. I'm sure she has. And I'm saying.
Maybe he was rummaging. Maybe he was rummaging through her spare wardrobe in his bedroom when he stayed here, lads.
I'm glad you didn't say drawers.
Hey, right. Well, on that bombshell, we will come up with a forfeit, depending on the result of the England-Scotland game, and you can find out what it is next week. Good night. Take care. Bye-bye.